Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this press briefing. I'm Dana Tapousas. I'm the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. We also have media with us via Zoom. I'm going to introduce all three speakers. They're each going to come up one after the other. They'll say their names and their titles. Just to repeat that, I'll say them as well before I leave the podium. At the end of all of their remarks, we'll take questions. And obviously, we'll ask you to identify yourselves and give your affiliates. So who's going to speak first is our Chancellor, Gary S. May. Next, we'll hear from our Police Chief, Joe Farrow. And finally, we'll hear from our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Pablo Reguerin. So with that, I'll start with the Chancellor.
Thank you, Dana. As Dana said, I'm Chancellor Gary May, Chancellor of the University of California, Davis. And first and foremost, I just want to acknowledge that the campus community feels anxious and frightened right now. While these incidents have not occurred on our campus, the boundaries between the campus and the city are soft boundaries. And we're all the same community at the end. So what happens in one place obviously impacts the other greatly. I am grateful for Davis Mayor Will Arnold, the City Council, the supervisors for their careful but quick response to what's been happening since last week. The City of Davis Police Department has been a solid partner, and I know Chief Farrow will talk about how he's collaborating with Chief Pytel. We are working very closely, especially with our police departments and with the City of Davis. And now I'll turn it over to the Chief.
Thank you, Chancellor, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for being here to tell our story. You know, the mission of the University of California is very simple. It's to provide an environment where people can come and learn, conduct research, grow and thrive and define themselves. In order for us to do that, we have to create an environment where people feel safe and that they truly are safe. And without question right now, that latter question is at odds, where people are generally scared, they're concerned, they're trying to understand what is going on in the city of Davis, and they're trying to reckon with that. And in order for us then to move forward, we're trying to create that environment of safety. And so we are trying really, really hard to allow our students to still come onto campus, to do what they're supposed to do and to study, but do it in a safe way. And so we have a lot of students who live off campus in the city of Davis. And so we are providing them really all-day transportation to and from residents anywhere on campus. It's called our Safe Rides program. It's conducted primarily by other students, but supervised by adults from the police department. And so those vans are running about 16 hours a day, and we're literally taking hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of students across this campus every single day. We've also brought on board some other officers out of the University of San Francisco and UC Berkeley. They're here on campus helping us patrol not just our campus, but also the immediate surrounding areas of Davis, specifically in some parks, some areas where people gather. Most popular at night is where we're going. We've also hired out with some additional security firms that we've used in the past for some large events and football games and that sort of thing. They're very familiar with our campus. They're strategically located throughout the campus and in the greater area of Davis to help students who find themselves walking or bicycling. At least they'll be protected by additional security. We have sent out a series of warn me messages for all of our staff, student, faculty, on how to traverse and travel within the campus. If you have to walk, especially at night, to do so in partners, do the buddy system. Be very aware of your surroundings and to make sure that you're safe. You know, the issues that we're facing, they're real. These are very traumatic, very, very sad events where we have the loss of human life. The individual or individuals responsible for this have not been apprehended. The investigation is live as we go. We're using all the resources that we have here combined with the city of Davis and really some of the allied agencies around Davis and Yolo County to put together the best effort that we can to be able to identify and apprehend and ultimately arrest the individual responsible for these crimes. Thank you.
Hello again, my name is Pablo Reguerin. I serve as the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. I want to thank Chancellor May and Chief Farrow for their leadership during this time. I also want to thank our community of staff members and everyone who's working around the clock to ensure that all student voices are being heard. It's important to underscore what Chancellor May said regarding the importance of working together as a community. For our students and employees, I encourage you to call on our student resources and services to support your well-being during this time. I'm going to now give some remarks in Spanish, summarizing some of the points for our Spanish-speaking community. Aunque los ataques que han ocurrido esta última semana no han pasado justamente en la universidad, en el campus, nosotros somos parte de la comunidad con la ciudad de Davis. Entonces, lo que afecta a uno de nosotros afecta a toda la comunidad. Estamos trabajando juntamente con la ciudad, con las fuerzas policiales de la ciudad, tanto como los de la universidad. Esta es una investigación activa y estamos comunicando y enviando comunicaciones a los padres, a los estudiantes y a los empleados. Como se ha reportado, todas las clases y programas estudiantiles que terminan después de las 7 de la noche, estamos convirtiendo esos programas a clases o programas a distancia a través del internet o por Zoom. Estamos recomendando que los estudiantes y miembros de la comunidad no estén solos, especialmente cuando está oscuro. Traten de estar juntos con otras personas. Como escucharon, también estamos ofreciendo lo que llamamos el Safe Rides Program para poder ir en grupo, y eso es gratis tanto como para los estudiantes como para los empleados. Tenemos servicios de apoyo de salud mental y es importante que accesemos todos los recursos disponibles. Queremos confirmar y asegurar que estamos trabajando día y noche para asegurar el bienestar de la comunidad. Gracias.
Great, we'll take questions now.
The Associated Students sent you a letter asking for all classes to go online until a suspect is caught. Is that being considered, or is it still a class-by-class basis and choice, especially for those night classes, a big concern?
Yeah, just as of today, we have worked with our academic senate to have a policy now where every class that ends after 6 p.m. will be taught remotely. And that will be on an ongoing basis indefinitely, and we'll reevaluate the need to continue doing that as the situation progresses.
Does that start today?
Today.
What about other activities, clubs, recreational activities?
So the co-curricular and extracurricular activities will be encouraged to be done virtually if they end after 6, but not required. We have events that are also happening, and we will make sure that the people that are involved in those events have sufficient security and rides. The Safe Ride program that the Chief and Pablo both mentioned, the idea is to make sure everyone who needs a ride has a ride for the foreseeable future.
And libraries, are they going to be closing early? And what would you say to students? Should they stay home after 6, or what's your message?
We've had a list of safety tips that we provided to our students. We've not encouraged them to stay home. We have said don't be by yourself alone at night, walking or doing anything else. Be with a group, be aware of your surroundings, make sure people know where you are, and if you see anything, to get in touch with the appropriate authorities immediately.
And what measure of confidence in the measures being taken right now to catch this person can you offer to the students of UC Davis and the greater community at whole? Is there anything you can assure the folks within the school community that every effort is being made?
I'm going to let the Chief address that one, but I'll start by saying I have the utmost confidence in Chief Farrell and his team and the collaboration we have with the Davis City Police.
Your question is really good. That's the question that people are asking. What is being done? Is it enough? Do you need more resources? And I can tell you, watching the men and women of the Davis Police Department work last night on our third stabbing, they're very professional. They know exactly what they're doing. We brought in additional resources from all out through Yolo County and into Sacramento County. Our police department right here are working hand in hand with the city of Davis. We have our experts, the best that we have, and their full-time job right now is to try to identify and apprehend this individual. We're being supplemented as we do that by bringing in other police departments, like I said, University of California at Berkeley and San Francisco. They're now coming on campus. They will resume patrol duties on campus while our officers are engaged in the discovery and the apprehension of the person responsible.
Given that none of these incidents happened on campus specifically, but one of them affects a UC Davis student, what exactly is the degree of your department's involvement in the investigation as it goes with Davis Police?
We're secondary. The primary is, of course, the City of Davis. Our job is, because we have so many of our community members here on UC Davis live in the City of Davis, there's an inherent partnership that we have. So we offer up any resources that they may need to help them go out and do their job to make it easier. When the first incident happened, we did the patrol duties for the City of Davis while their resources are being used trying to identify the individual on day one. So we've done that often with each other, where we try to help one another. We have a really good partnership that works well.
The Midpoint survey suggested that 55% of students brought up a mental health concern even before this incident happened. This is not the first student you've lost in this quarter. How are you addressing those concerns?
You know, it's a really, really good question. That is really important to us because mental health crisis, mental health on campus, really in our society, is one that we need to discuss. We need to be open. We need to talk about it. Do we have walls up here that prevent that from coming on campus? No. And we do know we have students here that are maybe traumatized by that. They're very concerned, and we really want to deal with that. We are building a really good response team using our fire department with paramedics, social workers that can respond. Every police officer here is trained with the highest standards in the country for critical incident training. You may or may not know, in my capacity here too, I'm also the president of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, where we take this extremely serious on how we respond. So we're trying to do everything we possibly can, knowing that we have young adults coming onto our campus, experiencing tragedies like this for the very first time in their life, and how we showcase and move forward, I think, really helps them identify that we're all in this together.
I'll add a little bit more. In terms of the response, we have a postvention team that convenes. It's an interdisciplinary team around the student experience, including mental health experts, academic staff, non-academic staff that come together. And so we work very closely in assessing the impact. So students, clubs, organizations, labs that were closely connected to Karim, who we lost, as well as broader messaging and mental health services, whether they're groups or one-on-one counseling. And so we have a very rigorous approach to working both with students who were in similar classes and had a connection, but then also provide services to the broader campus community. We have been fielding requests from faculty and from students specifically to do processing, debriefing, counseling support, as well as just overall support. So not all students necessarily want a clinical option, but they need support or help with a specific issue. And then, of course, we're continuing to work with the family and providing direct support there as well. Okay. Cuando tenemos un crisis o emergencia estudiantil como pasó ahora, tenemos un equipo que viene para asesorar y ver el impacto directamente a los amigos, a las personas en las mismas clases, y ofrecemos servicios de salud mental directamente. Y los maestros de las clases, la facultad y la comunidad ha estado trabajando con nuestro equipo para proveer esos servicios directos, y también estamos proveyendo servicio y apoyo a la familia.
What are the inquiries and what are you telling parents, especially that inquire, and especially international students? Are you in contact with them?
We have just sent out a correspondence to all the community, including parents. Our correspondences go broadly to students, faculty, staff, parents, alumni. You will see it in the email that just went out, probably just as we are starting this press conference. But it basically tries to answer all the questions that you're posing, as well as some of the things that might be on their mind, and how to do different, how to contact different resources, and what we're doing to keep the community as safe as we can.
This goes on for a while. How is it going to affect the insurance? How have you had that conversation approached it?
We have not had that conversation. We expect that there'll be appropriate flexibility for the students and for the faculty as needed.
Is there a place that parents can go directly to get information?
On our website now, there's a resource site that is at the very front page of our UC Davis homepage. There's a link to all the information about this incident and campus safety.
So what is the most important thing you'd like all these crews to get out to the general public?
Well, several things. I don't know if I can narrow it down to one important thing. I would say first that we are taking this very seriously and doing everything we can to keep our community safe, our students, faculty, and staff. I would also say that we are aware of how troubling this is to the community. It's making people fearful and anxious, and we encourage the community to take advantage of whatever resources are available to make sure that they are accounting for their own mental health. And finally, at some point, this is going to end. This is still a wonderful university and a wonderful community, and people should remember that. And we can't wait to get back to that situation where we are enjoying that.
Two professors had already emailed their students and said, you will have a final, this is not impacting finals. Would you say that decision was made too quickly then, and that it's still up for discussion?
Well, I would say that the curriculum and how it's delivered is the purview of our academic senate and not the campus leadership. I would lean on them to make those decisions on what kind of flexibilities and accommodations will be made to students who need them.
I have one more question to the police chief as well. Sarah, sorry, I'm back down in the corner. What do you envision campus looking like tonight, security-wise, overnight? As long as the sun's down, are you going to have dozens of officers and security guards on campus patrolling, or what does that look like in your mind?
We practice a tiered response here on campus. So we go from student security, who drive some of our security vans, the Aggie transports that we have. We have 9 vehicles, 8 passenger vehicles, all will be running. The next step up from that, we have security, UC Davis security officers who have been taking off some of their responsibilities over at the Med Center. They'll be on campus driving courtesy vans too to help with our Safe Rides program. And then we have a separate level of security officers called CSOs. They are a little bit more highly trained. They're really police officers without weaponry. We only have 6. All 6 of them are on duty tonight, and they'll be canvassing the campus, watching for things and looking out. And then we'll be running about 12 officers tonight. And then we put that in proportion, what that means. On any given night on this campus, we run somewhere around 4. And so we're tripling that. Now keep in mind that is for our campus, but also in a partnership with the City of Davis, we'll be going out in around the park areas and some of the areas that our students frequent. So we'll be partnering with them, sharing some responsibilities. Okay.
The Vice Chancellor just wants to make an announcement about Friday.
I wanted to, first of all, mention that in coordination with the family and the wonderful supporters around them, we have set up a memorial fund in honor of Karim Abu Najam. This is an undergraduate research award. As you know, that Karim was an exceptional student and very talented in doing undergraduate research, highly accomplished in pursuing his degree. He was also known for uplifting students around him, getting them connected around undergraduate research and their career activities. And so this memorial fund will be set up to support students pursuing undergraduate research in his name. And so we can provide the link, but we are requesting support along with the family for this memorial fund. Yes, we also have conferred the posthumous degree to Karim and his family. There is a community of friends, of his friends and students who are setting up the celebration of life, which we're expecting is scheduled for Friday at 4 p.m. We are still finalizing all that in coordination with the planning group of students, but certainly working with them. We want to provide as much support. We want to honor Karim and support as much healing as possible.
One more for the chief. Would it be safe to say, heaven forbid this happens again, should students continue to keep those alerts on? Is there a message you'd like to give to students about having the alerts from the campus community on, so that if in the event there is another emergency, unfortunately, like the ones we've seen, that they are notified immediately?
Yes, absolutely. If you could help us get the message out. I think most of our students, staff, faculty, they're aware of the system that we use. Hopefully for the most part that they're on, but certainly any conversation that we can have with anyone, especially at this time, this moment in time, to be alert and be ready and be responsive to some of the messages we give, because it is real time, just like last night we had an attack. We knew it was going down. It was midnight, and our job was to get that information out to our community as fast as we could, because we didn't know at the time which way the suspect ran. There could have been two different directions, but one of them would have been straight to the campus. So we wanted to make sure that alert got out so our community would know what just took place. So hopefully those devices are on. I think most of them at that age, they keep their devices on for the most part. And they're well aware of the communications that we use to alert them. And so hopefully they'll be using them.
And given the violent nature of what we have seen in the past week, your advice to students who see something suspect, other members of the campus community, I'm assuming after covering stories like this, it is not to approach the assailant, but rather to be a good witness type.
Be a good witness. That's exactly what we're hoping to do. Our messages are meant for our community members to be alert of what just transpired. We've tried to put out the description of what we're looking for. And if any of our community members see that, we're hoping that they'll just merely call us. We're not asking them to intercede, not to intervene, just call us, and then we can be there quick. It's a small community. We can get from one side of the campus to the other very, very quickly, especially when we have 3 times the amount of resources that we normally have. We can move very quickly. And our students are really good at that. They're really good. And I can tell you last night, even though they didn't all pan out, right after our alert went out, we received 4 calls within about 10 minutes. And those calls came in real time. I think I saw this, I thought, and we checked them all out. They didn't turn out to be what we were looking for, but people were on the alert. Okay.
Could I add one thing? I'd like to add one thing about the Warn Me system. So we are encouraging all of our event planners and to encourage, you don't have to be a student or an employee to sign up for the Warn Me system. So maybe we can add that link to opt in, and then encouraging whether you're a parent, attending an event that as many people get signed up, so we have direct communication. So that would be a good safety measure.
Any final questions? Yes,
I apologize if this was asked. I had a midterm, so I'm late.
we can't hear you. Can you come closer or
Yeah, for sure.
speak louder? Thank you.
So with, you're talking about how you received a lot of calls last night. I heard there was like some miscommunication with, like it got transferred to the CHP first because it was near the highway and stuff like that. Is there any advice to students for how to mitigate that or make sure that their calls get through to the right place?
What happens sometimes with this jurisdiction, if you understand how the 911 system works, it works by cell towers. It's wherever the cell tower is, depending on what they call public safety answering point, takes the call. If you're in close proximity to the freeway, that's the jurisdiction of the California Highway Patrol. So if you're close and you dial 911, it goes to that tower. Then the CHP will get that and immediately transfer it to the agency that they're trying to get. So there is a slight delay, but it moves pretty fast. That can also happen too when we're dialing for fire and stuff. It just really depends on where the tower is. What I would tell any of our students to recognize that these are professionals. They know what they're doing. They'll immediately recognize what the call is, and they'll make the transfer to us almost simultaneously. So it happens pretty fast. Okay.
All right, thank you all for coming.